Critical Issue Show for this 2011 season. I'm Richard Giacobas, your host and moderator, and today we are discussing an historic event in history. Osama bin Laden is dead. And our show is completely about this, as we'll cover all the different topics, the impact that it has on the United States, the effect on U.S. Muslim culture, and the effect on the Arab world and the future of the Middle East. Let's meet our panel. First, our ICTV chief political correspondent and president of the Iona Society for Professional Journalists, Chris Massaro.
Hello, Rich.
How are you? Joe McLaughlin, our sophomore broadcast journalism major. Joe, how are you?
How you doing?
And Melissa Ballo, who is a graduate student and joining us for the first time on this panel. Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Okay, Joe, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts on this? Or actually, I'm going to go around the table and everybody quickly give me your thoughts on this event, because it is historic.
It's absolutely great. You know, it took 10 years, but we got him in the end, so it's it's just a good thing all the way around.
Okay.
I think it's great for America. I think it's great for the effort in the war on terrorism. Probably the most historic event of someone back to Hitler's death.
Melissa?
I don't believe it. I don't think he's dead.
Whoa, controversy.
A conspiracy theorist.
I don't think he's dead because it's too easy to just convey that information to us from so far away. And it took 10 years, and if it doesn't make any difference in the wars, then I don't see any reason other than to re-elect Obama.
I think it's merely symbolic at this point. I mean, he wasn't the day-to-day operator of Al-Qaeda.
You believe he was dead?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, both parties have acknowledged that he's been dead, but...
99. I mean, they're 99% sure they did a DNA test. You still don't believe it?
Well, I heard that...
You need to see that picture?
No, the picture's not going to do it, and the DNA test isn't going to do it
So
either.
what would do it for you?
I'd have to probably see
his body?
him in person, yeah.
Well, he's in the river now.
Well, that's also another thing, is why did they dump his body? And they said supposedly to respect the Muslim tradition, but hello, they just killed so many people in the Muslim world. That's not anything. The military doesn't respect anybody.
They didn't want a shrine. No one in the world wanted his body on their soil, so that was part of the reason why they dumped his body in the Indian Ocean. So.
Right, but being so quick, I don't think that's a legitimate reason.
Well, the U.S. Was forever changed by 9/11, but will it forever be changed by this death? Melissa?
Not really. I mean, the thing is, this death, it depends how we take it. Like, a lot of people are celebrating right now because they see it as he was the leader of Al-Qaeda and he was the one who had the attacks on 9/11. But if it doesn't pull us out of the war, then it's not going to make any difference in life. It's just another way to convince the American people that we're making progress. It's another reason to re-elect Obama so that people don't have to do the work and do the research themselves.
Are you in support of Obama in the second term, or you're not?
No, I voted for him last term, but this term I don't think I'm going to vote for him because I don't see things that he's done to be significant enough, and in truth, I don't see him having that much power. Like, we overemphasize the president's power instead of focusing more on the Senate because they're the ones who pass the policies. The president is the only one that's supposed to be in military.
I just want to clear one thing up. The death of bin Laden doesn't mean the war on terrorism is over. It's merely, one step, a milestone.
Far from.
This war in Afghanistan will be won politically, not militarily. The important thing is that the Afghan government is stable, that they can have their own security forces, police forces, and military to combat terrorism and the radicals in the country. That's how the war is going to be won.
Well, the side note, ironically, if I can interject here, is that we, as a country, we created bin Laden because if you know your history, we supplied these groups with bombs and everything else to defeat the Soviets in the 80s, and so ironically, those of whom that support the war on terror, mainly the conservatives, are the same people who put them in power. That's kind of the irony of.
That's a little unfair to say that the conservatives created bin Laden. It was mainly Pakistan who created, and our presence in Saudi Arabia during the Gulf War.
Yes, I can agree with that also. I mean, there's 2 points to be considered at that point. Yeah. But,
Who would you give any credit to President Bush?
Me? I would. I feel that he wasn't the best president, but he was dealt not a very good hand. But he did have a we did go into Afghanistan. We did try to go after the people that attacked us, but of course Iraq was a whole another issue, a whole other war. That was a kind of not a good decision. But at the end of the day, yes, he does deserve some level of credit because he did have to deal with it initially.
All right, what do you think?
I think President Bush's policies have been vindicated, meaning Guantanamo Bay, the enhanced interrogation methods, waterboarding, because KSM was one of the first leads to this courier that was at this compound in Pakistan, and they got it through waterboarding KSM.
I want to know why is it that Osama supposedly was born in Saudi Arabia, and that's really where we're making all our money with their contracting, and that's where all the terrorists are supposedly being trained. Why is it that after 9/11, we went into Afghanistan, then we went into Iraq, then we're playing around with Iran, now we're playing around with Libya. They found him in Pakistan, so now I think they're going to open the borders in Pakistan to let us know that they're going to be sending more troops into Pakistan, and I really...
Well, you gotta, wait. That's not going to happen because Pakistan is technically on our side. We have security agreements with them. Their government is our ally. Same thing with the Saudi government. Now, these countries may have terrorists crawling around there who hate us, but those governments are in support of us, and they're doing their best to combat them. The Saudi government has caught numerous terrorists since 2001. They exiled bin Laden after 1991 because he was deemed radical and hostile to the
Well,
government.
you brought up waterboarding. Do you think that we should waterboard? Do you think that that's a good way of interrogating?
Obviously, KSM was the first lead to the courier at the compound, so I think it's a valid way to get information.
I don't, no. Because, I mean, if you're going to torture someone, they're going to say what they want to say to get out of it. And they can give you misleading information. Like, there was a guy just now that he was tortured, and he gave misleading information saying that there was a terrorist in some country. I forget the details, but he gave the wrong information. And it's just a matter of torturing is not the right way. We have enough people that are skilled in interrogating that we can get enough information out of it if we're going to use that method. So I don't see torture as being the way to it, and it's something that the world has already agreed that.
Unfortunately, we'll never know if it was that really worked to kill Osama bin Laden.
I think we should classify
really
waterboarding as torture. I think we should say enhanced interrogation.
I'm
Like
pretty
a
sure
notch
that's
above.
the same
stand up
thing
there.
as
I mean-
re-evaluating shell shock and saying that it's this and that, and then all of a sudden now it's post-traumatic stress disorder. It's just a better way to get the American people not to react a certain way to the
It saved lives.
interrogation.
If it saves lives,
I mean,
I'm
look
for
at
it.
Donald Rumsfeld. He was on Fox and CNN, I think, saying, "Oh, waterboarding is not torture." You know, I'd like to see him hung upside down and poured water with a cloth over. I mean, yes.
And he killed 3,000 Americans.
Well, yes, that's
And
true.
that's
But you know,
questionable,
does that
Conspiracy theorists.
Conspiracy
does that
I'll tell you
Does
that.
that justify? I mean, we all. Let me bring up one point for me. John McCain was tortured for X amount of years. Supposedly he can't raise his arms above his shoulders. So
Because he was beat, not waterboarded.
yeah. So yes, but that
Still
was
torture,
torture.
right.
So you know we condemn the Vietnamese for doing that. So you know, are we being hypocrites at the end of the day?
You said very quickly, because you snuck it in there, and I want to get back to
I
it.
caught it.
You did catch it. Do you not believe that or you're saying it's questionable that 3,000 Americans were killed by Osama bin Laden, or was the attacks were?
The issue is that the government, it's questionable to understand that maybe the government had something to do with it. I don't think the government is that organized that they could have pulled off something as crazy as 9/11, but I believe that there was evidence prior to 9/11, stocks were traded prior to 9/11, and people were seen as related to Al-Qaeda or whatever the terrorist organizations prior to 9/11, and people that came up to the CIA with that information were disregarded. Because no matter where you look, if you find some kind of information, you have to bring it to your superior, and it's up to your superior to bring it to higher levels. If they tell you that this is not going anywhere, then where else are you supposed to go? Are you supposed to turn to the police? The police turn to their superiors. You're supposed to turn to the colonels and all those people in the military. They have to use that information. That's their responsibility. But there was so much benefit out of having 9/11 happen.
Benefit? Entering a recession, killing 3,000 Americans?
We've had recessions before, and for different
Right,
reasons.
and they're not very good.
Not saying that it was okay to kill people under any circumstances.
I want to see what the
But
benefits are.
the amount of money
Yeah, I don't know
that
when
they're
you say
making.
benefit. You have to explain what
It
you mean
gave
by
us an
benefit.
excuse to go into the Middle East. It
But
gave us
why
an
would
excuse to
why
go.
would it be an excuse to go into
I agree with
Afghanistan? Are you saying for, say, natural resources or something? Because that
Natural
country has
resources
nothing.
for power.
That country's a vast wasteland. There's nothing there for us.
For power, and that's why we went right into Iraq right after that. That's why we haven't been focusing
But
on
that was
Which was a
Afghanistan.
issue.
mistake.
If 9/11
really, he shouldn't
If
have gone
that's the
into Iraq,
case,
but-
why did we go into Iraq first? I mean, yeah, why did we go into Iraq first?
Because they said supposedly Osama was from Afghanistan. It was Afghani terrorist. So we
No, it was not
went into.
Afghani terrorists. They were harbored there by
So
the Taliban
what was the
regime.
point of going into Afghanistan?
Because the Taliban government that was in place since 1996 harbored the terrorist Al-Qaeda network.
And then go ahead.
I think on that, I don't believe that we knew about 9/11. I do, however, believe that the Bush administration and the Clinton administration knew something was inevitable happen. I mean, I believe that the famous quote-unquote report that was given to Bush in August of 2001 did have some sort of it could have had some sort of detail as to we could have an attack and we didn't act. They kind of called our bluff.
Wait a second, that's a moot point. Because Bin Laden was doing attacks against America. The first World Trade Center attack, the bombing of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, the USS Cole, and we did nothing about it.
Yes.
So I think this is a moot point.
I'm questioning also the whole event of 9/11 because those buildings were engineered to withstand multiple attacks from airplanes and from hurricanes and from natural disasters, and they just seemed to disintegrate and just crumble in a matter of minutes within each other, and they were just hit with one airplane each. So
just one.
And well, the thing is too, I mean, a lot of people, if you look at the videos, the news videos, a lot of people reported sounds of bombs. They said we kept hearing explosions.
It's usually what happens like when a plane hits a building with fuel and engine.
On what floor was it? Like 86, and people were reporting explosions in the lobbies. People were reporting explosions in the lobbies in the basement, and buildings of that magnitude.
So you're saying that it wasn't only the airplanes?
It wasn't only the airplanes. There was some other kind of explosive material there because even in the dust that got spread after it happened, they were finding explosive material dust in the rest of the building dust.
I think there's a kooky little conspiracy about this. It's online and it's been disproved.
It hasn't been disproved. It's just a matter of, okay, who killed Kennedy and why did all that happen? It's whenever somebody goes against
You read a lot of Jesse Ventura.
No, I don't. I just watch a lot of documentaries and stuff.
Well, he's a big
a lot of misleading documentaries.
Well, you can find anything these days. I mean, you can find that Bush was the best president in the world. Or you can find that Clinton didn't have an affair. So honestly, there's so many different things out there that you can believe anything you want.